All right. Well, today we're going to go over the left horizontal canal, or specifically what happens when we excite or when our left horizontal canal is being stimulated. This is part of the videos where we're going through the different VOR pathways. I suggest starting at the right VOR pathway just because I give a little bit of back information. You'll notice that this video is going to be a little bit shorter because it's just going to be strictly dealing with the video or dealing with the pathways, hopefully making it easier for you to understand what's going on. So let me pull up again our brainstem diagram here. And again, here we have the brainstem, and we have all the structures associated with making our eyes move around. So if we're going to try to see what happens with the left side or the left horizontal canal, the first thing that we need to know is what causes its stimulation. So the left horizontal canal is most strongly stimulated by head rotation or yaw to the left side. So if I yaw my head to the left, if I move my head to the left here, if I move it in a horizontal fashion to the left side, then my left horizontal canal is being stimulated. This is going to make my eyes move to the right. So it's going to be a compensatory movement that's created by the VOR system. If our head is rotating left, our eyes are moving to the right. So what I like to do is I like to start off with what I know. And what I know is, first of all, that if our eyes or if our head is rotating to the left, then our left horizontal canal is responsible for sending the excitatory signal there. So we know that the left horizontal canal is responsible for generating that signal. The other thing that I want to know, or the other thing that I think about, is if my head is rotating to the left, then my eyes are moving to the right. So what is each eye doing? Well, if we just want to stay ipsilateral for the time being, if my head is moving to the left, my eyes are moving to the right, so my left eye is adducting, it's moving in, and that requires the medial rectus of the left eye. Well, on the other side, my right eye is also moving around, and in this case, it's abducting. So the left eye is adducting, needs the medial rectus. The right eye is abducting and needs the lateral rectus. So now we effectively know which muscles are being innervated. Now, the pathways for muscle contraction, specifically, I should say for horizontal muscle contraction or horizontal EOM movement, are the same every time. As long as you're talking about conjugate gaze, version movement, it's the same every single time. So if our head is moving left, our eyes are moving to the right, we know that the right abducens nucleus is responsible for controlling horizontal gaze towards its side. So in this case, the right lateral rectus is firing. That means that the right abducens nucleus has to be involved in some way, shape, or form. So we know that the abducens nucleus sends signals to its own ipsilateral lateral rectus. So this signal is going to come up here and synapse on the right eye's lateral rectus, its own ipsilateral lateral rectus. And we know that it's going to get to the medial rectus over here on the contralateral side via the MLF. So it's going to decussate and it's going to jump on the MLF and it's going to ride it up to the level of the midbrain and then get off, and it's going to innervate the medial rectus subnucleus on the contralateral side. So this signal is now going to travel from the subnucleus here to this medial rectus. So now we know effectively how the signal got to the EOMs, at least from the portion of the nucleus forward. But how did the signal get from this horizontal canal, the left horizontal canal, over to the right abducens nucleus? So this requires a signal being sent via the vestibular nerve, which then joins up with the vestibulocochlear nerve and joins or eventually synapse in the medulla at the vestibular nucleus. So, or portions of the vestibular nucleus. So it's going to join here and is specifically going to innervate the medial vestibular nucleus. So it's going to send a signal, a neuron, and it's going to synapse in the medial vestibular nucleus. Here, there's a neuron waiting, and it's going to decussate and cross over, and it's going to innervate the contralateral abducens nucleus. Now, do keep in mind that the abducens nucleus is located at the level of the pons, and the vestibular nuclei are located at the level of the medulla. So there are some differences here in the way that the anatomy is sort of arranged vertically. Do keep that in mind, but the signal nevertheless makes it to the contralateral abducens nucleus and results in excitation and stimulation of the correct EOM muscles, as you can see here. Now, again, this motion is going to be for a head movement to the left, or a yaw to the left. But let's take a look at inhibitory pathways. So the inhibitory pathways are going to be very similar to what we saw earlier with the head movement to the right, just of course from the opposite side. So let's think about this like we did before. The first thing that you know, without probably having to think about it too much, is if we have head movement to the left, our eyes are moving to the right, we need to effectively inhibit the muscles that make our eyes move to the left. We need to do this simultaneously and proportionately relax these muscles, effectively following Sherrington's law. So the muscles that make our eyes move to the left, we need to inhibit. And that is going to be the left eye's lateral rectus and the right eye's medial rectus. Now, nothing new here. The signals that you saw before are exactly the same. So you know this neurology. The abducens nucleus contains motoneurons and interneurons, which are going to effectively synapse. The motoneurons are going to synapse on its own ipsilateral lateral rectus, and the interneurons are going to cross and then ascend via the MLF up to the midbrain, and then they're going to synapse on the medial rectus subnucleus on the contralateral side. So that's how that signal is going to get there. Now, the last step is, we need to know which canal is sending this signal. Well, according to Lee and Z, the same canal that's being excited by the head movement, in this case, head movement to the left, is also the same one that's sending an inhibitory signal. So we know it's going to be the left horizontal canal, and somehow, in some way, it's going to get from this canal. It's going to have to go through a portion of the vestibular nucleus and make its way to its own ipsilateral abducens nucleus somehow. And so it does this, and all the connections end up staying ipsilateral here, at least until it gets to the abducens nucleus. And so it's going to cross over here, and it's going to enter the vestibular nucleus, again, specifically the medial vestibular nucleus. And then this signal has just got to make a short trip up the pons or up to the pons and innervate its own ipsilateral abducens nucleus. Now, once this abducens nucleus is innervated, you know the neurology from here. Motoneurons go to its own ipsilateral lateral rectus, and interneurons cross over and ascend via the MLF to the contralateral medial rectus. So at this point, you know the signals and you know where they came from. And now we have all the neurology that's required to inhibit the antagonistic muscles for a left head turn. All right. Well, at this point, we're done with the horizontal movements. Please review the anterior or the chin up, elevate, or chin down anterior canal videos in the next series here. Thank you very much.